Hey, good evening. Happy Sunday. Come on in, come on in. I'll give it a couple of minutes to see if we get anybody to join us live. It's always fun when people join live. I'm on StreamYard, so please give StreamYard permission to use your name so I can see you. I do have my phone pulled up too today, so I can see if anybody's joining us or have comments that they want to make. So, I am Renita Alexander. I am the Leadership Locksmith, and this is Set It Up Sunday. This is my weekly conversation about setting your week, your month, your year, your life up for success, however you define it. Success means different things to different people. So, that is what we talk about every Sunday, right at 8 o'clock Central Standard Time for about 15 minutes. It's really quick. And I love it when people join live. But if you are watching after the live broadcast, I'll give you an opportunity to share what it is that you have learned on the topic that we are speaking about tonight. Now, you might be wondering why I'm wearing my Alabama gear. I am in Alabama gear from head to toe. I even have on my elephant earrings. And I have Alabama gear on because Alabama football was the impetus for my social media post this week. Now, that's not really unusual for me. I mean, I use sports teams a lot when I talk about leadership because it's kind of no gray area. Either you're winning and successful and there's some leadership happening or you're not. And I don't really think there's a better example of leadership success than the success of the Alabama football team, of my alma mater, the Alabama Crimson Tide. So not only has the Crimson Tide been in the national conversation since Coach Nick Saban came to town, the Tide has won 6 national championships. But just in case you don't like football, maybe you don't like college football. Maybe you just watch the NFL. Well, you can see the impact of Coach Saban's leadership all throughout the NFL. I mean, there's not too many teams that don't have an Alabama player playing at that next level. So, if you are a college football fan, as I am, put your team in the chat. Let me know what your team is. Who is your favorite college football team? Just write that in the comments. But what I love there's so much to love, first of all, about the Alabama football team and Coach Saban's leadership. There is the consistent, sustained level of excellence. I mean, it's just breathtaking, his ability to recruit people who are going to buy into his process and fit the team, and then buy into what's happening on the team, wait their turn, because it's very competitive. You may have been that 4 or 5 star player, the star of your high school football team, but often when you come to Alabama, you have to wait your turn, which is not to say that freshmen don't start. But sometimes you have to wait your turn. So what led me to want to talk about Alabama this week? Well, it was a rare loss that happened a couple of weeks ago. So again, if you follow college football, you probably know that a couple of weeks ago, Alabama lost to the Texas A&M Aggies. Now, you might think that Coach Saban, who gets pretty animated if you've watched him on the sidelines, he gets, a little, something's going on there. He gets a little in your face. He may be screaming and hollering. We don't necessarily know what he's saying, but we know he's a little animated. But you might think he would be animated about that loss, the first one in almost 2 years by an Alabama football team. But we don't know what was said in the locker room. We don't know what was said in practices, but we do know he said this. He said to his team, "Don't forget this feeling." And I found that so interesting. But having followed Coach Saban a while, I understood what he was saying, because what he understands is that the negative experiences we often have, the failures we often have, sometimes teach a lesson that resonates more than success, or resonates more than somebody else's success that they're sharing with you. And so, there's things that we know we should be doing, but it's often when we don't do something and we have a negative consequence that we say, oh, I'm not going to do that again, that we learn that lesson. That lesson really sticks. As Coach Saban says, don't waste the failure. He also said, so in addition to don't forget this feeling, he also said he was looking for leaders on the team. Leaders. He didn't say he was looking for a better skill position. He said he was looking for leaders. Leadership is also a skill, but unfortunately, it's a skill that often gets overlooked, not just on sports teams, but on your team in corporate America, on small businesses. And so, what I took, the takeaway that I took from Coach Saban's comments, are applicable to any aspiring leader. And there are three takeaways that I took away from the comments, and I want to share them with you. So you've heard me say this, it's the foundation of pretty much any workshop I've ever done, and that is lead yourself first. And so what does that mean? Well, it means a lot of different things. It means staying in the present moment. It means executing the thing that you know to do, doing what you know you're supposed to be doing. It means being disciplined. It means being aware and in control of your emotions. I mean, I always marvel at these athletes who can, do something, they can make a mistake and then come right back, especially those that aren't playing on a team. So, somebody who's doing an individual sport, a gymnast or maybe a tennis player, their ability to come right back to the present and, hit that next ball or make that next, gymnastic move. It means being confident in what you know that you know that you know. And be where your feet are planted and nowhere else. Not again thinking about what has just happened or thinking about what is going to happen, maybe 5 minutes. What is happening right now? What is happening on, if you're, whatever it is you're doing, what is happening you're right then in the present moment. Um, but it also means preparing before the event, the meeting, the presentation, whatever it is that you are doing, soaking up all the knowledge that there is to know about what it is that you are doing, gaining some experience doing what you're doing through practice, taking care of yourself before the event, getting enough rest, making sure you've eaten, etc., etc. The Crimson Tide players face consequences if they don't show up for meals, if they don't show up for classes, if they're not in the weight room when they're supposed to be there. And for you, your lack of preparation, your inability to be fully present might be also impacting some promotion opportunity. You never know. The second thing that I took away from his comments is, and I say this all the time, is leading yourself is a prerequisite to leading others. So you can't really lead anybody else if they don't see you leading yourself. They're not going to be led by you. They're just going to not follow, right? So you have to show up. You have to execute. You have to be disciplined. You have to prepare. So, all of the things that I said in leading yourself, you have to show that to the people that you would aspire to lead. You must lead yourself before others can see you as a leader. Now, one of the young men that stepped up to Coach Saban's challenge is Will Anderson. He's become like one of my favorite players. He called his teammates out, for maybe not making football the most important thing. But his ability to be heard by his teammates was because he models effort, he models commitment, he models discipline for his teammates, and he has earned their respect. The third thing that I just want to mention before I'll let you go back to your Sunday evening, is you don't have to be the leader to be a leader on your team. So what does that mean? Well, that means that, there's positions and then there are people that just get followed. But there are also some expectations on this particular team that everybody will lead, not just themselves, but hold each other accountable. And when you think about it, it just makes logistics sense, right? Coach Saban or his staff, they can't be everywhere or know everything that's happening with I don't know how many players are on the team, but there are many, right? And so nothing makes me happier when I'm reading about Alabama than reading about or hearing about a more seasoned Alabama player holding a less seasoned member of the team accountable. But again, it doesn't necessarily have to be, have to that leadership doesn't necessarily have to come with seniority, right? So the example that I used in point two, Will Anderson is a sophomore. He's a sophomore on a very young Alabama team. It is a very young Alabama team, but he didn't wait until he was a junior or senior. He just modeled leadership and then was willing to step out and take on a leadership role. He was willing to lead. So you don't have to be the most seasoned member, you just have to be willing to lead. As I said, Anderson is only a sophomore, yet he has served as team captain, which is selected by the team members more than anyone else on this very young Alabama team. So, how can all this information help you? Well, the great resignation, where an inordinate amount of a number of American employees have resigned their position, may have opened up an opportunity for you. And so I encourage you to be ready by leading yourself. And so you may have an opportunity to lead others. All right, that's all I have to share. Does anybody watching have any leadership tips they want to share about this leadership skill that is oh so important if you are on a team, or especially if you are in a leadership position? Anybody have anything that they want to share with the rest of the members of the group or anybody else that might be watching? I'm looking for comments on in the Leadership Unlocked group. I'm not seeing any comments on StreamYard. I'll have to go. I'm also broadcasting on YouTube and my Renita Alexander Facebook page. So I'll have to go check that out to see if there were comments that were made. And I'm not seeing any comments. And so I am going to give you the rest of your Sunday evening back. And I'll be right here again next Sunday at 8 o'clock for Set It Up Sunday. Hope to see you with me. Have a great week.